his talk on how devs should love your test.
Sweet. All right. Well, hi, everybody. I know you don't have energy because you all said no. Gosh, dang it. But anyway, so when I first wrote this talk, I was working at a different place. I was working at a place called Jane.com, which sells clothing for women. And so I wasn't the biggest customer, but doing QA for basically an e-commerce website. Now I work at this place called Workfront, which is very much a much larger enterprise. They're about 20 times bigger, and they do B2B stuff. Anyway, so I would say that everything I'm about to say is a lie now, so sorry you came to this one. Yeah, it's awkward. No, just kidding. No, everything is still true. What I learned was that through all of my talking with clients and consulting and talking with a bunch of different businesses, all of them go through the same thing. And they all want to transition to DevOps, to CI/CD. I think all of us kind of want to do this now. It's very common. And yet, well, they don't really know how to. So what I found was that the fastest way to do this was to actually get your devs to like software testing. If they were on board with this, they would actually champion the entire change for you, and you would just have to sit back and kind of watch the ride. So I'm going to be talking about that. So before, of course, like I said, yay, Carlos Kidman, QA manager and senior automation engineer at Workfront. Some other things about me, I'm a board member of the DevOpsDays conference in Salt Lake City as well. This is a yearly conference for stuff. Really good if you're there. I'm also an instructor on testautomationu.com. Hopefully you guys have actually taken my course. It was the scaling test with Docker one. I have another one coming out too, called From Scripting to Framework. I'm one of the hosts of the Ministry of Testing podcast that we're starting. Let's go. It's going to be pretty awesome, so make sure you listen in and give us some feedback. Subscribe. Do it now. All right. I'm also the founder of QA at the Point, which is one of the campaigns is that monthly meetup that Andrew was talking about, but there's also a bunch of other initiatives, a bunch of trainings, and we help people get jobs and whatnot. It is amazing. So if you're ever in Utah, please hit me up, and we will welcome you with open arms. And then, of course, YouTube and all the other things that are fun. Cool. All right. So, like I said, every client, all of them want test automation. 3 years ago, it was like, how do we do it? Now everyone's like, we want it now. But they don't really know what it actually takes to do it, right? There's always unrealistic expectations. They want the QA team to be doing it. All right, QA team, you don't know any coding, but guess what? You have 3 months to build me an automation framework, and they have no idea what they're doing, and then it kind of blows up. Or they treat it as a lower level objective, right? Where it's always an afterthought, it's always technical debt, and no one really cares about it outside of the QA team. The other thing that I think is actually more hurtful is that many QA teams, and this is reality, just don't know how to do testing in the modern software development world. And it sucks. It's too bad, but I think we're doing a lot of old school things when everyone is trying to go crazy fast and we are falling behind the times. Granted, you guys are here, so you're probably not part of this problem, but this is something very common that I see as well. So here's team structure. I think we're all familiar with this, the cross-functional team. But if I were to ask you, what's something in here that you see that is a huge kind of mistake or something that you see as a problem? Yeah, they're all by themselves. Also, there's no women on here. I didn't draw this. Someone else did that. But no, there's a single quality engineer for the entire team. And for those of us who know how to test mobile applications, that by itself is a full-time job. Now imagine you have front-end, back-end, iOS, Android, all these different stacks trying to deploy at the same time, and yet you have one person to test it. So obviously we become the bottleneck, and everyone gets mad at us. Why are you guys so slow? And so at Jane.com, this was even worse, because we had multiple functional teams, cross-functional teams, and I only had 3 quality engineers. And yet we got to a place from where we were deploying once every about 3 to 4 weeks to deploying to 15 and 20 times a day. And I only had me and 2 other people. At Workfront, they decided, hey, only one? How about we add another person? So they had 2 quality engineers, and they said, I think we're good now. And, well, that's why I'm there to change, is that's not good enough. So we decided to come up with this testing manifesto. We said, all right, let's help testers get a better idea of what they can do, different guidelines that we can use to be better at testing or manual testing in this new DevOpsy world. So things like testing throughout over testing at the end. I think at this point we're all kind of like, yeah, that's a given. Preventing bugs over finding bugs. This can be controversial sometimes, because some people are like, wait a second, I'm supposed to be finding bugs, and now we're saying preventing them. Say, what? The next one is understanding over checking functionality. I would say that checking functionality, I think automation is amazing for that, but I think manually testing for just functionality may not be the best use of your time, at least as you get more mature inside of your testing practices. Building the best system over breaking the system, and then lastly, the team responsibility versus just the tester's responsibility. Sweet. So here's a really simple diagram of the development lifecycle. I know like number 8, for example, maybe like observability and learning and other stuff. But what we were doing before was we would go through this very waterfall-y thing where we would go through all like scoping, planning, development, and then finally pass it off to QA. QA, you guys test it now. And the first question we would ask, the developer would give us something, and then in the Slack channel, right, they would say, cool, I got it now, but which instance is it on? Oh, I don't have the right credentials. I can't log in. What are they again? Stuff like that would happen constantly. And so, which is why I say, you can actually check how successful your team is doing or your testing strategy is by the fewer questions you ask after development. You should be asking all your questions earlier on, and instead of asking, where do I test this thing? You should already know what that answer is before that step 6 there. And here's a beautiful question that I always love to ask people. Do you think that quality engineers should be automating as well? Because I know this is also a very common thing that people are doing now, where we have teams of quality engineers and an isolated automation team. And now the quality engineers also want to step up their game because, well, the business wants to move faster, and they're the bottleneck, so they need to learn how to code too. But they're also testing, planning, triaging, a bunch of other stuff. And on top of that, they need to be full-time programmers too. So the question is, should they be automating? We'll get back to this later. That was like ASMR thing. All right. So the DevOpsDays manifesto. This is from Lisa. If you guys don't know her, please follow her. She's amazing. The DevOpsDays manifesto was more so around, okay, we had that testing manifesto before. Like, manifestos for days, guys. Manifesto for you, and everyone gets a manifesto. But this is going over something that I actually really, really like. Because like number 5, for example, the product coverage over code coverage, this is something that is very different from what developers are used to. Because the developers are thinking code coverage, and they may have some code coverage tool like CodeCov, let's say, to try to get to 100% code coverage. But I think all of us in the room would agree that if you have 100% code coverage, it doesn't really mean jack squat. That doesn't mean that everything's going to be hunky-dory once it hits production, right? But it's a feels-good metric that developers have. And it's one of the things that they think is software testing. For them, if I just write a unit test and get closer to 100%, that's software testing. Ooh. No, it's not, right? Another thing is testing what gives value based on customer usage over automating everything. This bullet point alone gives you priority. It actually tells you what you should be focusing on at the beginning. And it also is almost like this very clear roadmap or backlog for what to cover, how to cover it, why, all that good stuff, right? So the way that you can start is actually, I call it leading up and leading down. Number 1 is to honestly audit where you're at. And I highlight the word honestly, because if you're the automation engineer who wrote the framework, you're probably going to say, oh yeah, everything I did is great. It's fine. What are you talking about? It's kind of hard because it's your baby. You want to take care of it. You want to nurture it, love it. But honestly, audit where you are right now. A great way to do this is to ask your entire development team, let's say like your little cross-functional team, if you ask them, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in our software testing? You might be surprised by what they say. Or you might not. I don't know. We did this at Workfront when I first started 3 months ago, and the highest score we got was a 3, which felt pretty good. The crazy thing was that the quality engineering team was not expecting that 3, because we have almost 5,000 Selenium tests. So shouldn't it be much higher than a 3? And when they got that answer back of 3, and that was the highest score, I think the average was actually 1 or 2, they were like, wait, what? And they couldn't believe that the developers were very not confident at all in our testing. Number 2 is prioritize that coverage and then measure progress. Number 3, make it visible. That's very key. And then lastly, collaborate with your developers in your testing strategy as well. So one thing that we did at Jane was we wanted to visualize what our coverage actually was. If we got our product and said, here's a feature, or here's a flow, here's a business case or scenario, and we were to visualize this thing, what would it look like? So we did. One of our big ones was leaving a review. And so we actually visualized it. You can see that there's actually shading on this because this was a heat map. We actually had customer data to inform us what flows were actually more used than others. You can see that cancel a review, for example, is super almost white because we had very few customers who would say, yeah, I'm going to leave a review, and then say, yeah, just kidding, and they click it, right? So few people did that it was almost completely white. The S's that you see on each one of these boxes represented a Selenium test. Before we did this, we thought that this flow was 100% covered. Once we visualized it, we saw that, well, actually, no, it wasn't. There was a whole case of only leaving a star rating that we weren't testing whatsoever. So this made it very, very clear that there was not only gaps, but also, do we need to cover cancel a review, for example? And if we cover it, should we cover it with a Selenium test? So what we did after this point was then bring in our developers. All right, developers, what do you guys think? Here's what we are currently seeing as this flow. Here's how we're currently testing it. What do you guys think? And they helped us get to this place, where we were actually 100% covered. We decided, well, if this is so not used, cancel a review, then let's not write a Selenium test for it. Instead, let's write a component test for it, which is what the C is for. So I'm glad that Arjun actually talked about component testing, because now you actually know what that's talking about. But guess who wrote those component tests? Our developers did. So now they're helping us out with getting this thing covered because they knew what our goal was. Our goal was getting the coverage and getting it to the best place possible. Those A's are for API tests as well, because we had different types of people, different personas, if you will. One person, for example, I call them the book writer. Whenever they'd leave a comment, they would tell us their whole life story. They'd say, there I was in 1972, and I was buying my loaf of bread, and they're going to town, right? And at the very, very end, oh, but I like the dress 5 stars. And it was just paragraphs of just text. And so instead of writing a Selenium test for every single one of these scenarios, it was much easier to actually write an API test to cover those things, to handle those different types of loads, for example. I don't need a Selenium test for each one of my different personas, let's say. So, love it. The reason why I have this on here was, number one, the way that we approached it was from a very pragmatic approach. If you start bottom up, which is how developers normally do it, then you're writing tests to write tests. They're writing unit tests just for code coverage sake. If you start from the top down, you go from a more pragmatic approach where you're actually looking at the logic behind what we're trying to build, and you cover the tests in that way. So there was times when, yes, unit tests were amazing, but a lot of our testing actually was at the service and integration layer. We coupled our unit tests. We also included component testing in the unit layer as well, just because that made it easier for us to talk about. But the fact that we had our developers looking at this, discussing this, and talking about this with us, well, that's what got us to this thing. And once we had the coverage we wanted, then we could actually ask the question, what if I deleted that Selenium test? Would our confidence stay the same? If it did, then I would delete the test. If it didn't, why was the Selenium test more powerful? Should we have the API test? Or is the API test just there for whatever reason? And actually auditing our tests very constantly, because anytime we made a change to leaving a review, let's say we added a new flow. Well, then we'd have to make a new box in there, our coverage would change, and we'd have to discuss again what layer do we want things at and how. Constant collaboration with our developers is what got us to this place. So, one thing they learned as well was that test automation is actually a programming project. They didn't understand this before. For them, test automation was easy because they only knew about unit testing. Once they saw what actually it took to do this and to get the coverage and to make it easy, then they respected automation engineering all of a sudden because they realized, holy cow, you guys do a lot. I was like, oh yeah, you think? Right? They just didn't see it that way. Very simplified pipeline, of course. Testing is the glue to this. I mean, it's literally smack dab in the middle of this pipeline. And you could say, yeah, each one of these has testing within it. But I think that a lot of people do the agile development really, really well. I think we're really good at coding something and throwing it somewhere. Right? I think we can do that pretty well. However, when it comes to CI, that's actually you being very immutable. The more immutable you are, well, the more mature your pipelines actually are. If everything is mutable, that probably means your developers aren't doing anything within the pipeline. They code something and they say, that's the DevOps' job. Well, that's in for ops. I don't know what happens after my unit test pass, because it's too mutable. It's too difficult to actually know how to orchestrate your environments, and so they don't. And you may have one developer who knows, well, then that one developer is the bottleneck at that point. And they're on vacation in Hawaii, and then the whole business goes underground because they don't know what to do. From there, you have continuous delivery, which is getting you to a releasable state. So all of your tests are passing, and all you need to do is then push a button. This is great for people that need to orchestrate a release. You can't just release all the time. At Jane.com, we could do that. When someone was done and it passed all of our tests, it was just out the door in production. At Workfront, we don't do that because we actually want to schedule a release and say, all right, here comes your new patch coming out this time, or here's this new feature that we're doing, and release it at this time, or something like that. So we do continuous delivery at Workfront, where at Jane we were doing continuous deployment. And then DevOps is the whole operating observability within the pipeline and learning and doing stuff like that as well, more of that cultural thing. So your pipelines, they are a product as well. Just like test automation is a programming project, your pipelines are also a product as well, and they need just as much time and commitment on them. And it needs to be something that is easy to use. Again, immutability over mutability. If I was to grab that testing piece, pull it out, and do this like Tony Stark, throw it out there, right? Jarvis, expand this thing. It would look kind of like this. Going from left to right, you'd have something triggering your tests. You would hit that test runner. That script would actually find the tests, discover them, queue them up, and then hit your setup. Right? Your setups run, here's all this different stuff you're trying to do. Maybe you need to orchestrate some containers, build something up, seed some data, whatever you need to do, you're set up. Then it actually triggers the tests to run them. And here's Selenium, is that little page object model and the driver. There's Selenium for you, 2 little boxes in this whole thing. And then once it's done, it goes over to that cleanup. Cleanup, it tears everything down, it gets things back up to where you need to be, and then if it passes, awesome, notify your watchers. If it fails, cool, let's gather some data to make it actionable. Gather all the stuff, and then send that to the watchers notify everybody else, and back into the pipeline you go. This is what I call the test automation infrastructure. And you have little infrastructures throughout all of your pipelines, right? And we need to make this in a way where no matter how many pipelines we have, we can just pop this into any one of those pieces. And this should automatically adapt to that pipeline. Again, immutability, right? So, test automation infrastructure. It should make it easy for anyone, developer or quality engineer with 0 programming experience. It should make it easy for anyone to create, maintain, run, and consume your tests and test results. If you can achieve this, your developers will actually be writing tests for you, and they will like doing it. Because that confidence, well, it's kind of addicting. When you can push something out and you know that it's going to be okay, it's a lot of fun, and it actually feels pretty good. So what else can I do? I'm glad you asked, because here's some more stuff that we can do. Like I said before, be visible and deliver. Visibility, that whole communication, the whole collaboration thing is almost the key to this entire talk, is integrate your developers, right? I like to talk about Ash Ketchum, Pikachu. These guys are great. Grew up with these guys. However, for some reason, he's been 10 years old for the past 20 years. I don't know why that happens. And Pikachu's never evolved to the next stage. But for some reason, Pikachu is crazy OP. He's really powerful. But then there's times where he really sucks. He's just super inconsistent, and it feels bad watching it. Because you're like, oh, he's going to be a piece of cake gym leader. And then he loses for something dumb, like he trips over a rock or something. Like, gosh dang it, what are you doing, man? So we know and love Pikachu, but it's not very visible. Oh, snap. It's not very visible how powerful he actually is because he's so inconsistent. Same thing with Ash. Sometimes he makes dumb decisions. Everyone else around him has these massive dragons, and he has a little butterfly or something like it. Come on, Ash, make better decisions. Now imagine if Pikachu was visibly powerful and could deliver stuff consistently. He'd probably look something like this. Right? He's got an 8-pack. This is the Pikachu I want. Look at his neck. This picture makes me laugh every time, by the way, because he's throbbing veins. Anyway, so even Ash Ketchum's push to production. Even he's excited about it. Pikachu, you throw a building. He could do it. But you'd probably be a little more confident with this Pikachu than this Pikachu, right? All right, back on track. Back on track. Tests should be trustworthy. Now, this is super obvious, I mean, when you say it, it's like, yeah, they should. And yet, time and time again, I see tests not be trustworthy from people. Perfect example, right? Well, 50% of passing, well, that's better than 45. Production we go, right? And they go, wow, this happened. How many people actually face something like this? Or something like this? Oh, crap, it failed. Just ignore it real quick. Hey, look, it's green now. We actually had something where we have this entire project that its whole purpose is just to keep track of tests that we've ignored, right? Now, again, there was 5,000 of these things. We have about 500 ignored tests. Does anybody take care of them? No. They just appear in this big old backlog that have been there for years, apparently. And they just keep them ignored. They don't do anything about it. And they're like, yeah, we'll get to it eventually. And they never do, right? So we have all these gaps. And they're like, wait, didn't we have a test that covered that? I don't know how this bug got through. And then they look through that backlog of just ignored stuff. Oh, there it is. Oh, well, shoot. You know, and then push anyway. The other thing is adding retries to your tests. This is one of the biggest anti-patterns in test automation I could probably think of. If you have to retry your test 4 different times, you don't trust the first failure. I don't trust the second, third, or fourth either. But the 5th one, all right, it failed, okay. That's a huge anti-pattern. You should have 0 retries on your tests. If you do, that means that you don't even trust your test. How can you expect your developers then to trust your tests if you don't? If it's really that flaky, then do something about it. Or maybe lower it down a level and get the same amount of coverage while not having a retry on your test, right? Tests should be atomic and pragmatic. That can be tough because pragmatic means that you're going from that top of the pyramid going down, and yet it should be atomic at the same time, meaning it's independent and testing the least amount of stuff possible. You want to be very deterministic, I think is what everyone's been saying, very much so. Right? You want to be pragmatic and atomic? Why? Why would you want to be pragmatic when unit tests get you all that coverage and all that feels good numbers, but pragmatism gives you more confidence? Something to nibble on a little bit, I don't know. That's how we got to this. Right? We made things atomic, and we knew how to make it atomic. A, because of testability. I do want to give my developers credit for helping us out with making things more testable. But also, once they knew what our goal actually was, we knew what we were testing and why we were testing it, and that made it much easier to be atomic at that point. If you just want to test everything, then you're going to run into these massive tests that have like 20 assertions inside of them. And I think that's another also anti-pattern in test automation. But you have all these assertions, and you're asking, so what are you testing in here? And the name of the test is like, test sample 7, like something super generic that doesn't make any sense. Test user can do this thing, but inside of the test, the user is doing like 30 things. And then ultimately, the last thing you actually care about is that they could log out. And that's all you really cared about, but you're doing all this like creating projects and everything, and there's this massive end-to-end test, and the name of your test that doesn't actually make any sense. That's not atomic. That's not really pragmatic either, right? Each test should run within 60 seconds. This is more of a UI thing. There's a lot of reasons for this. One of them is I can count in minutes on my hand a little easier, so that makes it really nice. Also, for things like GCP or AWS, your spot instances and things, they charge you based off of minutes. So if you can say my entire suite runs within 60 seconds, well, that's pretty easy to count up and say, oh, it cost me that much money. It's pretty easy. Another thing is that, well, it just looks nice. If you can say that all of your tests run within a minute, your developers feel pretty good about that because they're running things in milliseconds, and you're the only one that's not. That doesn't look very good sometimes. Until they start writing UI tests, then they realize, oh, okay, no, that makes sense. And at first they're like, Cypress is better than Selenium. And they write Cypress tests, and then their Cypress test is 15 minutes long. And they're like, okay, sorry, guys, I get what you're doing now. They get a little bit of empathy at that point, right? Tests should stay in the stack. Now, I put should here so people don't freak out at me. Put should. Right? If you're doing something in JavaScript, let's say you have a JavaScript and React front end, then you should probably be writing your tests in JavaScript and React, right? One of the big reasons is that, well, your developers can actually help you out here. If you're doing it, they're doing it in like JavaScript and React with like a Node.js backend, and you're like, well, I'm Ruby because that's what I learned. Then they're like, cool, but you've just isolated yourself from your team at that point, and they can't help you. So when you say, how do I hit this one thing? They're like, I don't know how. Google this thing, and they throw you an article or something because they don't know how to help you, right? If your backend is, let's say, .NET, then, well, your backend test should most likely be in .NET. It's just helpful. It also helps the InfraOps team. So for us, we don't have to actually build you your own separate containers or your own separate pipelines. Just because you picked a different stack from everybody else, we can use the same existing ones that we built for the rest of the teams as well, and it's easier to integrate you into our stuff, right? Technical designs should be reviewed by QA and devs. Now, this is one that I see a lot of people not do, where they'll create technical designs and QA is never included. They're never involved in creating these technical documents. Instead, they get the technical designs afterward, and then we're told, all right, now you write your test plans. And I think a lot of us have said, all right, and we don't question them or anything. No, you should be within these technical designs. These technical designs are basically your test plan. This is what they're building, how they're building it, and why. Well, that answers a lot of your questions. And if it doesn't, you ask your questions and you adapt to the technical design. It shouldn't be two separate documents. It should just be one. And this is what you're using as your source of truth as you get it out, right? On the inverse of that is we should be integrating developers and InfraOps inside of our testing strategies too, right? We've had a few people today actually say something like, I can't build you a solution if I don't know what I'm building for, right? If you just say, I need this thing to be better, well, there's a million ways I can make it better. Here's Kibana, now you have a dashboard, it's better. You can do a bunch of things to make it better, but if you tell me what you're actually wanting to achieve, now I can build you something. For devs and InfraOps, the same thing applies. Why do you want to test this? How are you testing it? If I understand what you're trying to do, I can more easily build it and architect it for you, right? If I don't know, then good luck. I'm going to build something and just say, well, you should just be using our normal pipelines. Well, we have instances for that. Well, and then you have to go through all these approval processes because they can't empathize with you. They have no idea what you're trying to do. Test failures should be actionable. Now, I think a lot of people have been talking about this actually already, but actionable means that they should be able to get something, because you're most likely, hopefully, your developer is the one, they push code out, it goes into a pipeline, and hopefully they're watching it as it goes through, right? If they're not, that's another topic, because that means your developers probably aren't too invested in the code they're pushing out to production. But they're watching it, and all of a sudden something turns red. Well, they're going to look at the logs and start seeing why it failed. If the first thing they do when something fails is say, hey, QA, what does this thing mean? This thing wasn't interactable. How do? Then you already failed, right? It should be actionable. They should be able to take the failure that you gave them and do something with it. The prime example of this would be a test fails and the developer can go in and fix it themselves. That'd be pretty amazing. Instead of them having to reach out to you, to the QA department, and say, can someone help me with this? Because it takes a while, as we know, to get some feedback, to get the help, and to ultimately fix the test again. So they should be actionable. You should be thinking about, how can I make things easier for them to debug, easier for them to actually do something about the failure. That's why unit tests are so powerful for them, is when a unit test fails, they know exactly what failed and why, and they can go quickly change it. When it comes to higher level tests, there's so many dependencies, it's harder to know, which is why things like observability are such a big topic right now, because observability helps you know what failed and why, and it's quicker to actually fix those things. Tests should be easy to read and maintain. Again, we talked about this a little bit inside of the test automation infrastructure piece, but here's a really simple test. This is in Python. You guys have no idea what this application actually is, right? And yet, I can explain it to you. On line 1, we're parameterizing, saying, all right, we're going to have API cards. We're going to grab them from the API, a list of cards for this website. And we're going to feed those list of cards into the test. The name of the test is, well, test that the card is displayed. Cool. The name of the website is statsroyale.com. If you want to check it out, thanks for Clash Royale. I don't play, but it's pretty popular. Inside of the test, we say royale.cardspage.go to. Go to the cards page on the Royale website. Grab the card by name, the one that we pass in. So the API card.name, grab that card. Is the card displayed? Boom, there's your test. On this website, there's 95 cards. So this single test method actually is 95 test cases. Each one of these tests takes about 10 seconds, I want to say. So it's very easy to spin up if you wanted to, 95 little containers going and run all of them within 10 seconds. Boom, we'll clean it all up. There you go. You just did all that really quickly, right? And this may not be the best example because you probably wouldn't want to test that. But the point is that this was really easy for me to explain and probably, hopefully, pretty easy to read and consume and know what's happening here. Here's an example of a test that we have currently. You can't even read that, right? It's too big. I think there are 10 assertions in here, and the name of the test is literally test sample. This is production test, by the way, so this wasn't like a sample test. This is a legit test. And I can't actually read what this is doing. I don't even bother. A lot of our tests actually read like this right now. And so if I ask the developer to go in here and, hey, could you fix this test, they're not going to touch it. The crazy thing is that we were writing in Java before this. The test looked just like this as well. And everyone complained about Java. Oh, Java's so bad. Why is it so hard? Oh, old language, this, and that. So they went to Python, and they did the exact same thing in Python. And now the developers are like, oh, Python is so bad. Why do we do this? Why do we do that, right? And now they want to go to Cypress. It's the same cycle, right? And it's not Selenium's fault. It's not the language's fault. Shoot, Python is sexy as hell. Like, it's not Python's fault. It's a great language. It's the way that we implemented it. It's the way that we designed it and architected it. I mean, look at this thing. This thing is crazy to read. So no thanks. The last thing I want to leave before we get into questions is don't let testing and processes get in the way of quality. This is the last slide because I think we let these things get in the way all of the time. We test for test's sake. We process, it's a verb now, we process for process's sake. We need to have this meeting just because. I need to have this test plan document just because. I need to have 1,000 test cases just because. We don't think about it from a pragmatic sense and saying, what does this actually give value back on the team on? Is it doing anything helpful for them? If it's not, your developers probably don't like it. And they have no idea what you're doing. You may have test rail account with thousands of test cases, and you may feel like, wow, this is actually pretty good. And then you ask your developers on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in our software testing? And they come back with a 1 or 2. But look at all my test cases. Process for process's sake, right? We all want the same thing ultimately. Developers, infra ops, business, QA, right? We all want the same thing. We all want to build the best stuff that delights our customers and keeps them coming back, right? Get addicted to our stuff. That's really what we want. Well, let's make high quality stuff then. That doesn't mean that we write unit tests just to write unit tests to get 100% code coverage. If the developers have that as a goal, cool. That's totally fine. But that doesn't ultimately get us to quality. They may just be doing it for test's sake. They may be doing it more for their egos, more so than for the quality of the product. And that's what I'm talking about when I say try to avoid processing for process sake, right? And with that, I think we got about 5-7 minutes for questions. Thank you. And yeah, good stuff. Woo!
Awesome.